So we've had a really amazing day full of talks. And like I said, you're closing us out today. And just for some housekeeping and for your knowledge, as well as those who might just be tuning in, we are broadcasting live on 2 separate metaverses right now. We're in Otherverse Classic. We're in Otherverse Xeon. Those of you who are trying to log in, we just released a patch this morning. If you're having problems trying to get into that specific software, please be patient. There's a lot of people right now trying to log in. Very excited about the new patch and the new world. Our support team is on standby to help you if you are having difficulties. Otherwise, we're also streaming live on YouTube, we're on Twitch, we're on Discord, we're everywhere. So I'm here, Tony. I've got screens all over. I'm taking a look at everything and I'm taking questions from everywhere. So I'm going to do a little introduction of you and then I'm going to disappear, but I'm still here. And at any time, if you need my help or if you would like me to give you some questions, you just let me know.
Perfect.
Awesome. So, the information I have on you, and let me know if I've got all of this right or if anything is a little off here. I've got that you've founded a multi-billion-dollar accounting firm, Jorns Associates, serving over 30,000 business clients, and you're the founder of My Town to Go, the 416th company in the Inc. 500 of 2020. And you've built multi-billion-dollar companies in numerous industries, including health, wellness, telecommunications, delivery, real estate, blockchain technology, finance, and marketing. So very pleased to have you here. Very excited to hear all about decentralized business and node ownership. The floor is yours, sir. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it, Anna. And, I think for me, I'm actually more of a traditional entrepreneur than really on the tech side, on the blockchain side. And I got into crypto fairly early. I guess that's a relative term. I've got friends that have been in since like 2010, 2011. But I read the white paper for Bitcoin in 2010, and I was excited about the concept. I wasn't tech savvy enough to start mining it or anything like that, unfortunately, back then. But I just thought, what a cool concept: limited supply, proof of work. Community ownership. I thought it was a really cool idea. 2013, I had a friend that was doing online gaming, playing like blackjack and poker online. In the United States, you really weren't supposed to do that, so he had to use Bitcoin, and he was using it. And I was over at his house one time, and I was like, I read a white paper, the white paper for that. I was like, show me how you're using it, where you get it. And so I started buying it back then, and I've never sold it. I've actually just kept buying it. I've been pretty long on it. I felt like it's a better way to transfer value than a piece of paper. I might be wrong, but I might be right. I hope I am. And so I just started acquiring that cryptocurrency. It was really a friend of mine back in 2017, 2018 that kind of initially introduced me into blockchain technology. And he called me up. We were doing cryptocurrency trading. And at that point, not to sound too ignorant to folks that are here in the Otherverse or the Otherverse Classic, I kind of looked at crypto and blockchain. It's like, it's the same thing, it's all the same. And as I dug in deeper, I realized that's kind of like saying, email and the internet, that's the same thing. It's like, well, you certainly use the internet to send emails, but you can do a lot more with the internet than just send emails. Like meetings like this, you can use the internet to do. You can pay your bills. You can watch movies. There's a lot of use case for the internet. And so as I delved into blockchain, I realized the technology really has the ability to shift everything in traditional markets and really transitioning from what we'd call Web 2, which we're in today, into Web 3, which certainly there's some companies that are starting to push us that direction, but I do believe eventually all companies will need to make that transition. And so 2017, early 18, my friend reaches out and he'd been in crypto for a long time. And he just said, hey, you need to buy these nodes for this decentralized gaming platform. It's called Gala Games. And I didn't know what a node was. And he said it's like a mining node for Bitcoin or something. I'm like, all right, I kind of know how that works a little bit. And he goes, but this is software based. He goes, you put it on your computer and this company Gala will pay you for kind of like borrowing your computer power. And I remember this is probably early 2018. I just said, well, Tomas, I said, how much are they paying me? And he said, well, they give you Gala tokens. And I asked him, I said, how much is a Gala token worth? And he said, well, right now, nothing. And I, I remember I just laughed. I was like, well, this sounds amazing. You're going to borrow my computer, pay me with magic internet money that's not worth anything. I said, it sounds amazing for them, but maybe not so great for me. And he said, well, Tony, he goes, the tokens aren't worth anything now. But he goes, if people start playing these games, it could be a really valuable token. And so the long story short, I was supposed to buy $10,000 worth of tokens. I had it done, and I needed to call him and complete the transaction. And I forgot. At the time, I was exiting a third of our delivery business and merging the other 2/3 with a company called delivery.com. Both of those were fairly large in the 8-figure deals. And I was just laser focused to get them to the finish line. I didn't want them to fall apart. And I forget to call my buddy Tomas. And not much happens for about another year and a half or so. Not much happens. Gets into about 2021, and I see my buddy post on his Facebook, and he's posting like hashtag Gala Games, hashtag crypto. And it immediately hit me that I forgot to call him. And so I call him, and I'm like, Tomas, I was like, I saw you're posting about Gala. I was like, what's up with the gaming deal, the decentralized gaming? And he goes, bro, he goes, there's millions of people playing these games. And I was like, really? And he goes, I said, those nodes, he goes, it just generates tokens. He goes, for like a couple years, I've been generating tokens. And he goes, I just started selling them about a month ago. I started selling all these tokens. And I asked him, I said, how much have you sold? And he said, a little over $50 million worth. And I was like, what? Like,
oh my God. Sorry, I have to interrupt there.
yeah, sure.
Persistence pays off. Wow. I'm sorry. That's incredible.
Yeah, I was baffled. Well, our other buddy that he had actually introduced me to in 2017, a guy named Wright, had helped to start that project. And I asked him, I said, how much has Wright made from this? And he goes, $4.3 billion. And
did you say billion with a B?
Billion, yeah, with a B. He's still. It's funny, but I was just hanging out with him. He has, gosh, last year or no, 2022, he started selling Gala tokens. He lives in Puerto Rico. So do I. That's where I'm in Dallas right now, but most of my years in Puerto Rico. And he spent, gosh, $600 million on high-end real estate in 2022. His wife, he was one of the largest Bitcoin miners in North America, and had pretty much all in on crypto and didn't diversify at all. And his wife was kind of tired of magic internet money. So she's like, you need to buy some real estate or something. And so he did. He's got the penthouse at the one hotel in Miami on the residential side. He's got about a third of a floor of the Waldorf Astoria on the Strip in Vegas. He's got 6 cabins in Sundance. A lot of them are ski out in Utah. He's got the most expensive home, I think, to date. There's more that are listed that are right now more expensive, but I don't know if one's closed yet. I think he still has the most expensive home purchased in the country of Puerto Rico. So he did really well with the Gala project. Now, the problem for me is I didn't call my friend back. I was thinking to myself, like, what was I so busy doing that I didn't call you? And I think when you miss an opportunity like that, one of the things you shouldn't do is what I proceeded to do next. And I said, well, Tomas, I said, if I would have called you back, how many tokens would I have generated? Like if I'd have bought that 10 grand worth of nodes, he said, well, you'd had about 20 nodes at that time. They were pretty cheap. That he was buying them in wholesale and reselling them. He goes, you'd have had 20 nodes. And he goes, for the last couple of years, it would have just been generating tokens for this Gala project. And he did the math. He's like, if you sold all your tokens now, like today, it would be over $10 million. And I was just shocked. And what's probably even worse for me, if I had that many Gala nodes today, it would be generating probably $40,000 to $50,000 worth of tokens a month. And I mean, they still trade. Back then, it's funny, when he was selling his 50 million worth of tokens, I looked at their trading volume was like $3 billion that day. That was their 24-hour volume, was 3 billion. Their market cap that day was higher than Tesla's. And so it became very real for me that the natural progression, in my opinion, for blockchain and Web3 was going to be real world utility. And for that game, yeah, you could have a cow on your farm game and sell it to me, and I give you some Gala tokens, and we can do a peer-to-peer transaction. That was the use case, which obviously is a good use case. There were millions of people doing that through that game, but I missed it, and I just kind of chalked it up as, hey, right place, right time. Didn't realize it, didn't do anything about it. And so what I can do now, do I have the ability to share screen, Anna?
Yep, you do.
All right, so I'll run through just a little slideshow to give people a little bit of kind of blockchain and Web3, what it is in essence, and how we can benefit from the transition from Web2 to Web3. And I'll go through it, fairly quickly, and certainly, can come back and do some more Q&As in the other verse and things like that.
You're my last presentation of the day, so you don't have to worry about it.
Well, yeah, I don't want to bore myself with all this tech talk, but I got excited about it. And I look at the transition from Web 2 to Web 3, and blockchain and really AI are going to be the driving factors behind that. I look at it as another advancement for humans as a society. And I think, to put it in perspective, I try and go back in history and I look at different advancements that I would say closed gaps in human society over the years. I think one of the first major gaps that was closed is what I would refer to as the knowledge gap. And I think in the, let's say the 1430s or so, you had the Gutenberg press, the printing press was invented. And we go from a society where if you weren't noble, if you weren't royalty, you didn't have books. Like, you didn't have access to knowledge at scale for sure. And then all of a sudden, this device is invented and people all around the world have access to knowledge, and it evens the playing field to an extent. And so that was, I think, kind of one of the first closing of gaps that advanced society in a big way. I think you go into the mid 1800s with the combustion engine, closed what I would call the power gap. And there, prior to that, if you had a lot of land, but you didn't have oxen, you didn't have horses, you didn't have mules, you weren't going to develop that land hardly at all. But then here comes the engine, and all of a sudden, it was the great equalizer. Like, you could build out massive amounts of land using horsepower. I think even today, some of us probably have 800 horsepower or more in our garage, and it's kind of hard to fathom that you in your garage have more power than kings, couple hundred years ago had to develop their land prior to the combustion engine being invented. I'd look at the internet as closing what I'd call the distance gap. I think, obviously platforms like Otherverse, video conferencing platforms, they allow us to conduct business and relationships, build relationships all over the planet. The meeting that I did prior to this, and I haven't been on Zoom in a long time. I'll kind of share with you. We have a decentralized video conferencing platform that I use now, and I was using that platform literally about 20 minutes ago, and the whole group I was talking to was in Australia, all over, from Melbourne to Sydney to Perth. They were all over the country, Gold Coast. And I'm sitting here in Dallas, Texas. I just got here today. It's a 5-hour drive. It's the nearest dealership. I when I'm not in Puerto Rico, I'm in Kansas and Oklahoma a lot. And the nearest dealership for me to get an oil change is Dallas. And so I'm here for a day or so to get the oil changed. It is what it is. But I'm sitting here in Dallas doing a meeting with people on the other side of the globe. And I think, especially as people come into the Otherverse and start to interact with people around the planet, I know young people maybe don't even understand it. And as far as like how amazing it is to be there and to be here. And I think folks like me that are a little older, I think take it for granted sometimes that we can converse and build business and build relationships all over the planet real time because the internet has closed the distance gap and allowed us to do that. And what I would tell people about blockchain is it closes what I call the trust gap. It allows people to share value all over the world, real time, without needing to rely on a third party. If you want to wire funds, if I said, hey, and I'm going to send you a wire for a project we're working on, well, not tonight, I'm not. My bank is closed. I'm here in the United States, 7:15 p.m. my time. I can't send a wire. And tomorrow's Saturday, I can't send a wire Saturday. They won't let you. Sunday, the banks aren't even open, can't even walk in. So it'll be Monday before I could actually transfer value to her. And what's funny, it's not even me transferring money to Anna. It would be my bank pulling funds out of my account, sending Anna's bank money, and then putting it into her account. We have to rely on those third parties to handle that transaction. And those third parties can't just be trusted. There's audits at the state level. There's audits at the national level. There's global oversight with SWIFT and things like that that oversee all the different banks around the world to make sure that, you know, some president of a small bank doesn't add an extra zero onto his account and just try and create digital money, you know. And so there's a lot of oversight because with those third parties involved, no one can really trust the other person without audits and without other people overseeing them. Blockchain doesn't need any of that oversight. You have a node network that has all the data. I always tell people, if you've got to trust like a bank, and the one bank, the one person has all the knowledge, all the data, all the information, it's really the question of, do you trust that person? Because you have no way to audit them. The United States government, you know, they've never actually, the Pentagon, they've never passed an audit. They've always failed. They've always spent money that they just like, I don't know where it went. To the tune of over $1 trillion here in the United States over the last several years. Over $1 trillion cannot be accounted for because there's no transparency. There's no trust. There's no ability to trust. Whereas with blockchain, the node network creates trust. And the best analogy I can give, I don't know how many people are plugged in right now in the other verse. Let's say there's 100 people watching this. Let's say streaming, maybe there's 1,000, maybe there's 100,000, who knows? But let's just say, for example, my last meeting I had 100. And I said, I made an offer to him. I said, listen, if I think of a number, let's say I'm going to think of a number between 1 and 100. We've got about 100 people in this room. I said, I'll think of a number between 1 and 100. The next person that gets onto this meeting, the 101st person, if they guess the number that I'm thinking of, I'm going to think of a number between 1 and 100. If they guess it right, I'll give each and every one of you in this room and that person 1 Bitcoin. Sound like a deal? They all agreed. And I said, what that person can do is they can ask each and every one of you to guess a number. And so I started going through that room. I said, what do you think it is, Mary? And she said, 23. I said, Tom, what do you think it is? He said, 75. And I was like, James, number between 1 and 100. 1, he said, you know. I said, Andre, what do you think? 1 and 100. 7, lucky 7. You know, so they all went through about 5 of them. They gave me a different number. I said, well, let's say this person comes in and the number that I'm thinking of, let's say it's 28. And the person somehow, he asked everybody, they all give him different numbers. And we ask him, what do you think the number is? And he says 28. Now, I'm the only one that knows he's right. And if I don't want to give 101 people 1 Bitcoin each, what I'm probably going to do is go, oh my gosh, so close, it's actually 29. And no one else but me would know that I was lying, which would mean I could get away with it. And so what blockchain does with a whole node network, imagine those 100 people. And I said, listen, right now it's in my city right now, it's 719. So let's say I cover up the 19 and it's just 7. Kind of backwards for you guys, but trust me, it's 7. And all of you guys can say, okay, I'm going to write down the number. It's 7. It's 7. We know it's 7. And the next person that comes in, if they get the number right, I give everybody a Bitcoin, including them. And they can ask everybody what they think the number is. Well, everybody in the room, I said, Mary, what do you think the number is? She's like, 7. I was like, Tom, what do you think it is? John, what do you think it is? Arnold, what do you think it is? 7, 7, 7. Annie, what do you think it is? 7. Everybody's guessing 7. The guy is going to get to me. I'm going to say it's 48. Now, what he'll do is he'll throw my number out. He'll go, I'm looking for consensus. 100 people in the room, 99 have told me the number's 7. One idiot said it was 48. I don't believe him. The number's 7. And it can't be changed. It's immutable. Everybody knows it's 7 because they all had access to the data. That is a little simplified, but that's blockchain. That's why you can trust the node network. It's random. It's all over the world. The blockchain for Bitcoin runs about 19,300 nodes. Ethereum runs over 13,000 nodes. They can come in the network and off the network at any time at their own pace. Like any miner can come in and come right back off. So it's never been possible to hack a layer 1 blockchain, a large layer 1 blockchain. You'd have to hack more than half of the computers. And if it's a 65% consensus, you'd have to hack 65% of the computers. You don't even know which ones are on network. You don't know where they're located in the world. It would be pretty much prohibitive. If you tried to pull it off, it would cost billions of dollars just on the attempt. And
you
so
it's really funny, Tony, just to interrupt you really 1 sec. The question that just came in, can this be hacked? And you completely answered it. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think, over time, yeah, certainly with quantum computing, somebody asked me, like, obviously with quant could probably hack a blockchain. And I said, well, once quantum computing's out there, what do you think node networks will run on? Our computers will have quant chips in them running blockchain nodes. So I don't think a regular quant computer could hack a blockchain quant network. It would be, again, impossible. So as long as the technology keeps up with the technology in the node network, it's going to be way more secure than a centralized network where all the data lives in one place. And so that's what I love about that trust gap being closed. It allows individuals, and it's not just money that you could send through the blockchain network that has value. It could be my health records. It could be a clinical trial. See, imagine if a clinical trial was on blockchain. I'm old enough to remember when cigarettes were good for you. There's studies, you can Google it. There's studies. It de-stresses you. It curbs your appetite. You'll lose weight. And what they did is they would start a study with 1,000 people. And then over a few years, let's say 400 of them started getting emphysema, asthma, lung cancer, throat cancer. They removed those 400 from the study. Then they published a study with 600 participants. And all of them smoked. All of them had curbed appetite. All of them had de-stress. All of them were healthy because they got rid of the unhealthy ones. And I'm sure if you held the study out another 5 more years, you could only do 200 people on that study. And so if that study from day 1 was logged on the blockchain, you would see, okay, 1,000 people just came into this study. It would be anonymous. You wouldn't know their names, but you'd see, person number 1, person number 2, number 3, all the way through 1,000. And if a year or 2 years in, all of a sudden 400 people were removed from the study, you could start going back on the blockchain and going, who did they just remove? Okay, number 4 is not there anymore. Let me see what their data was. Oh, they have asthma. They were just diagnosed about a month and a half ago. Number 18 is no longer in the study. Let me pull them up. Number 18 has emphysema. They were diagnosed about a week and a half ago. And then you would just go through and go, okay, no wonder they removed those people from the study because they want it to seem like it's healthy, but obviously it's not. And so eventually, if all clinical trials start to go on blockchain, if a trial came out next year or a year after and wasn't on blockchain, none of us would give it any moment of time. We would just ignore it because we know it couldn't be trusted. And so blockchain solves a lot of issues that are around our globe today. And I do believe that transition from Web 2 to Web 3 is inevitable. Just like going from Web 1 to Web 2 was inevitable. And I think Web 1, you can go back to 1983, Internet Protocol Language, TCP. That's the birth of the internet, so to speak. But nobody really used it. I mean, the military was using the internet back then. High-tech individuals, were using it. Certainly Silicon Valley at the beginning. The Steve Jobs of the world, the Bill Gates of the world were certainly early adopters of internet technology. But folks like me were certainly not in the game until you get into the mid-90s. I remember Hotmail came out. You started getting Google and Amazon towards the mid to late 90s. You start to get PayPal. 03, you get Facebook. MySpace before that. You get '07, the iPhone, Droids start coming out. Now we're off and running. We're in Web 2. And I remember making the transition. One of the big things I was doing in my office in Austin, Texas, I was writing a check to pay for one of my credit cards. And a younger guy that was in the office, this was like 2001. And he was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm paying my credit card bill." He goes, "With the check?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's how I always do it." And he goes, "Why don't you pay online?" And I just, I think like most humans, I don't like change that much. I was like, I saw on the bill it would say, mail your payments to PO Box, or it had a website you could use. And he goes, "Bro," he goes, "it's way better. It's way easier." And I was like, "All right." So he talks me into it. I attach my bank account. I submit my payment. I hit enter. And the thank you screen is like, "Thank you for your payment," pops up. And I thought to myself right then and there, I don't think I'll ever write another check again for the rest of my life. This was way better, way easier. And that's where we're at with Web 2. People can watch movies now, download them direct. You don't have to go to Blockbuster Video and rent. Like, those days are long gone. People have all the data and information they probably ever need right at the tip of their fingers. That's Web 2. Now, Web 3 decentralizes Web 2. What it does is it allows the community to control all the data and all the rules that are managed right now currently by big corporations. And what I mean by that, if we look at Web 2 in essence, especially some of the bigger corporations, I think as society, we've probably just conceded to the fact that Mark Zuckerberg is listening to me right now. And I know we talk about things all the time with my friends. I'm sure you guys do as well, where you'll be talking about, he's in Dallas. I'd love to go to Dallas sometime. And then all of a sudden on your Facebook feed the next day, there's an ad for flights to Dallas or hotels and resorts in Dallas. And it's like, that's creepy, And it's like, we all know it's creepy, it's weird, it's wrong, it's probably illegal. But what are we going to do about it? Like, there's no alternative. It's like, I'm not going to stop taking my phone somewhere. I'm not going to stop using Facebook. And even Zoom, like getting on this meeting right now, this is one of the reasons I use a decentralized version, but it's like, by being on here, I'm basically agreeing that anything we video here, like, Zoom owns it. They can share it with their AI. They're connected to China pretty heavily. They can sell the data to China. They can sell it to the US. It's their data. Anyone that hops on my meeting with me, all my videos, all my name, my likeness, it's theirs. Uber, they know where you're going. They know what hotels you like to stay at. They know what restaurants you like to eat at. And they use that data to make money. Mark Zuckerberg makes billions of dollars spying on us and stealing our data. And what Web 3 does is it says, instead of centralizing that power, all with somebody like Mark Zuckerberg or all with a corporation like Zoom, what if we decentralize that power? What if we allow the community through a node network to own everything? The community makes the rules. The community controls their data. If they choose to share their data anonymously, they can, and they get rewarded for doing it. Instead of Zuckerberg making billions of dollars, maybe they make hundreds of dollars for sharing their data. Or maybe they don't want to share their data and they just keep their data. They have that choice in a blockchain economy. And that's what we're doing with our projects. We're positioning ourselves to take advantage of what the World Economic Forum said in 2021. Blockchain is positioned to disrupt $867 trillion in traditional markets over the next several years. We're starting to see that happen, and it's only going to happen more and more over the next 6, 12 months, 24 months, 36 months. And I think with AI technology, the shift is going to happen faster than maybe even people like myself believe it will, because the better technology gets, the faster technology gets better. And so we can position ourselves within that transition by participating, utilizing node software. The projects that we work in basically tie real world revenue to the blockchain. And just like I asked my friend, what's a node? One of the things he used to explain it was a cell phone tower. He said, Tony, he goes, if you own a farm, it's not like Verizon or AT&T or Vodafone. They don't buy the entire farm and build a cell phone tower. They actually lease a little piece of land, build a tower on that land, And then they pay you each month, kind of like, hey, thank you for hosting the Verizon network. Thank you for hosting Vodafone's network on your farmland. And so they pay you each month for hosting their network. What our nodes do, basically, you load the software onto your computer, or you can put it in the cloud. That's where I host my nodes. You put it in the cloud, and then you earn tokens for hosting their software on your computer power, or for paying to have it in the cloud, and they're using their computer power. And it's no different than the Bitcoin network or Ethereum. If you're hosting what a Bitcoin mining node is called, it's a mining node. If you have Bitcoin mining nodes and you confirm transactions, you receive Bitcoin. If you have Ethereum mining nodes, you receive Ethereum. We have several layer one blockchains. The same group that built the Gala blockchain, actually October of last year, my friend Tomas, the guy that made 50 million plus in Gala, he said, hey, the guys that created the Gala blockchain, he goes, they've got 12 new projects they're launching to the world. And I flew to Vegas that day. I was like, I want to see what's going on. And I was excited about what they were doing because it was real world utility. The Win blockchain was their sales and marketing blockchain for people that wanted to build the community. That's how they got paid, basically. Because there's no company to write you a check or anything like that. You have a node that gets paid. It's USDT and Win tokens. Or if you're using the Rev blockchain, that's our decentralized rideshare, like an Uber. You can get Rev tokens. We have our meeting software, which would compete with Zoom, where we don't steal your data, and we actually reward you in cryptocurrency just for doing the meetings. And then if you share the software platform with others, we give you in more crypto, and we'll give them crypto for doing the meetings as well, which they can then use their crypto to pay for their meeting software. Or they can use it to take a ride on a ride share. We're in 40 cities right now throughout the United States. We are getting ready to go international over the next probably 90 to 120 days. So we'll be in more and more countries as we go. But the beauty of these blockchain projects is they're live, they're active. We have several different projects. I won't go through all of them in depth tonight. We have a banking blockchain called Switch. I was very impressed. I knew who their CEO was. I own a credit card processing company here in the US, but we do, I guess, global transactions. But we do about $4 to $5 billion a year in transactions. And so I knew who she was. She was one of the original founders of Discover Card and was the first president of Discover Bank. And so when I saw her involved, actually, the first thing I said, this was October of last year, I was like, Kathy, I was like, what are you doing here? Like blockchain and banking go together like oil and water. I didn't understand it. And she goes, you know, Tony, she goes, I believe blockchain technology will allow everybody on the planet to become bankable. And many people right now, certainly we think of, poorer countries, third world, villages where people can't have, access to banks. They can't participate in the financial systems of the globe. But in Dallas, Texas, where I'm at right now, there's people out here that are not bankable. They cannot participate. And the amount of opportunities they miss out on because of that is astronomical. Probably whatever city you're in or near right now as you're watching this, there's people who are unbankable. And blockchain can solve that problem. Anyone with access to the internet has access to the financial system. And I agreed with her philosophy, and I agreed with the fact that blockchain could bring a solution to the unbankable. And so I got excited about that project. Galvin is our decentralized health and wellness blockchain. Imagine playing tennis and getting paid to do it. You get rewarded to do it. Imagine owning your own health records and your own health data. That's what the Galvin blockchain allows. Element is our decentralized and ethical mining blockchain. Any one of us that have one of these, it's almost 100% chance that one of the rare earth minerals in here, whether it's lithium, cobalt, whatever, it was mined by a child or it was mined by somebody at gunpoint and working for slave wages. And so our blockchain, any mine that partners with us opens themselves up to a 24/7 a day, 365-day a year audit where they have drone flyovers, satellite imagery flyovers. They've got individuals that can go at any time and audit, making sure that there's no unethical mining, making sure that adults are getting paid fair wages, making sure that after a mine is depleted, they come in behind it with mangrove trees. They come in behind it with farmable soil and backfill it. And so that land is no longer dead. It can actually be used by the community and by the farmers. Our Give blockchain is our charitable blockchain, it basically creates transparency in giving. If you give $100 to the Give blockchain, $100 goes to the charity that you're choosing. There's several charities on that chain. One of the bigger ones, Free a Girl, last year through the Give blockchain, we saved over 3,200 children from child sex trafficking last year alone through donations with the Give blockchain. Every single day, 365 days a year, there's an operation saving children going on. Right now, as I'm talking, there's probably a door being kicked down, whether it's in California, here in Texas, or somewhere in Asia or India. Somewhere a child is being saved, or multiple children are being saved. And you can see where your dollars are going. You can see which children you're taking care of. We've built 2 orphanages in Tanzania with another one of our projects. You can see, hey, my $100 helped to provide mattresses for these children to be able to sleep on. To the penny, it's tracked on the blockchain. Unfortunately, there's lots of charities where a lot of the pennies and dollars go to jet fuel and things like that and don't really make it to the people who are in need. That's where we're very different with the Give blockchain. Grow is our agricultural blockchain. You can actually use that blockchain to buy food. You can use the tokens, and when the food comes, it has a QR code. It tells you everything about that animal, about that fruit, about that vegetable, how much it ate. Was it free range, organic? Was it injected with hormones? Was it injected with steroids? All that information is on the chain. And you can see exactly not only what you're putting in your body, but what it put in its body during its lifetime. It allows us as humans to take control back of what we're eating and what we're putting in our bodies. Revo is our rideshare blockchain. Think of it like a decentralized Uber. And again, we're operating already. Right now, as we're talking, there is somebody taking a ride somewhere in the United States. And soon it'll go global. But we're in 40 cities here in the US. And so probably right here in Texas where I'm at, somebody's getting from point A to point B. And because of blockchain efficiencies, every ride we're doing, it's about 30 to 40% cheaper than the exact same ride with Uber or Lyft. Every single ride we're doing, the driver is earning about 30 to 40% more than they would with the exact same ride with Uber or Lyft. And and that's real money, Web2 money, USD or AUD if you're in Australia, wherever you're at. But on top of the real world Web2 money, every single ride that happens, there's a cryptocurrency token reward that's given out to the driver, to the rider, to the people that recruited the driver. The people that recruited the rider are getting crypto as well. And then we give them proof of action rewards to get more crypto. If you get in the car, you get crypto for taking a ride. If I'm your driver, I get crypto for giving you a ride. If you tip me after the ride, you get more crypto. We want to incentivize tipping good drivers. If I got a tip, I must have done a good job. I get more crypto. If you give me a rating, you get more crypto. We want to incentivize rating the drivers. If you give me a 5-star rating, I get more crypto. I did a good job. If I rate you as a rider, I get crypto. If I give you 5 stars, you get more crypto. And so we can tie actions to revenue generation in the blockchain and reward for that behavior. The last project I'll talk about is our R-Link project. I know I'm working with Otherverse. I think pretty soon we'll be able to hopefully transition to a decentralized video conferencing platform. That way we don't have somebody like Zoom stealing all our data from us and telling us they're stealing our data from us.
So for next year, basically, is what you're saying.
That's the plan.
Perfect.
That's the plan. We're working on it. So hopefully we can get that done. I'm certainly working on that. And not just with Otherverse, with several big corporations, big companies. They don't like the idea of being spied on. They don't like the idea of their data being sold. But again, what's the alternative? Like for now, people that don't know about our project, like, well, you can go to Google Meet, you can go to Microsoft Teams. It's like Google and Microsoft are way better at stealing data than Zoom could ever dream of being. You're probably safer off just staying with Zoom. And so until the folks start to learn about our programs and about our platforms, and Zoom is massive. When you look at the video conferencing network, Zoom has about 300 million users a day. And so that's a lot of data. Obviously, that's why they've got a $21 billion plus market cap, is because they have access to so much data. But with our project, we're telling the community, listen, you own all your own data. If you want to monetize it, that's completely up to you. If you don't share it. It's your data. And then we'll reward you with a cryptocurrency for using the platform. So I think there's going to be a big shift as people start to understand you have options. And I think as humans, if you told me, hey, you can either be spied on or not, I would choose to not be spied on. Hey, you can do something and get rewarded or not get rewarded. I would choose to get rewarded. If I'm going to do the same thing anyways, and one team will reward me and the other team won't, I'm going to go play for this team. And so we're looking for people to help us build our communities. And that's what's great about what we're doing. You can be a connector to build our community. Our projects are all free to join. And we can send you a link that'll basically say, hey, if you want to get started, you can just sign up for free. If you're new to blockchain, if you're new to cryptocurrency, if you're new to this kind of decentralized ecosystem, we have an academy where you can learn the basics. You can learn advanced things. And if you said, well, hey, I want to buy a node, I want to do what you didn't do with Gala, you can certainly do that. When you sign up for free, you have a dashboard and you can click on shop to buy nodes. I always tell people there's no guarantees. If not many people use our platform, the tokens will never be worth much other than just to pay for the platform every month. I guess that's where your use case would be. But there's no guarantees that it'll ever be anything more than that. Was Gala an amazing project that we built? Certainly. Did it skyrocket? Certainly. Is it going back up right now during this crypto bull run? Absolutely. So people are still excited about that project, but that doesn't guarantee these projects will do the same. But what I tell people, if you can afford to get a node, you have some expendable income, I kind of call it Las Vegas money, I would say, hey, get a node. It'll start printing tokens for you. And if things go well, great. If you help us build the community, it can go even better. Now, we have one of the best law firms on the planet. It's a decentralized law firm called Blockade to make sure that we do things the right way as an ecosystem. I work with John Madsen almost every day. I help to bring this project, our meeting software project, and our rideshare project to our ecosystem. And I help to fund those projects as well. Ken Cuccinelli was the former Attorney General for the state of Virginia, and he was actually the Deputy Secretary of Homeland Security for the United States of America for 3 years. So he's our head legal advisor. Having these legal minds, making sure we're doing things the right way is a big boost to our decentralized ecosystem. If someone said, hey, how do I buy nodes? When you sign up for free, you just click shop and you can pick out nodes. And whichever projects you're most excited about, that's the projects I tell people to get. You can host nodes on your own computer. I use a company called Block Fabric. And the beauty of it is once you have your nodes turned on, you can see them every single day just running. And I guess I'll kind of wrap up with this, but like I have my back office where I can go in and go to my Blockbot report. It might make me relog in. I've been out for a little while, but if it does, that's fine. This will show every node that I've purchased on this particular account. And I put a lot of money into these projects. I've got about 53 million in between the different nodes that I've got. This account, I've got a little under $3 million worth of nodes in. It kind of shows your all-time earnings and friend chain rewards and stuff like that, how many tokens you have. There's not a ton of liquidity. There's not a ton of trading going on. A little bit. Some of these projects will do 1 million, 5 million a day. We haven't actually really started trading. Some of our products are kind of in beta. We haven't gone international with rideshare yet. We want to get it kind of taken care of in the US, but we're close. Our meeting software right now, we're in test phase with our first 5,000 users. We don't want to expand it beyond 5,000 until we know we've got kind of all the glitches and everything's working great. But if I look at a project like Grow, what's cool is I get about 500,000 tokens a day from the nodes that I operate. I have 130 million total tokens. And if I go to the Nourish Mart, I can actually choose, let's say I want the Texas Grillers box, which is going to be, it shows me it's going to be 2 boneless ribeyes, 2 fillets, 4 New York strips. And I say, okay, let me add that to the cart, $302 US. Proceed to checkout. I can't pay with dollars. I have to use Grow tokens. Right now, that's 73,455.33456 tokens. So what's cool for me is I'm getting about 500,000 tokens a day. I can buy a lot of steak with those tokens. And so I think for me, that's probably my favorite thing about these projects in blockchain as I wrap up is so many people have been involved in crypto, have been involved in ICOs, which we don't have an ICO. It's mining. It's similar to Bitcoin. I'm not sitting here with a bunch of tokens. I have nodes. My nodes mined crypto, and I got tokens for those nodes running. I did proof of action rewards. I do meetings. I share my meeting software with others. I take rides on Revo. I told people about it. I order food from Grow, and I get rewarded more tokens for those actions, which I can then turn around and use to buy more food. I can use to take a ride. I can use to pay for my meeting software. And so the fact that we were active, that these projects were real and already working was a huge boost for me. The other thing was the fact that I knew I could help build the community. And being an entrepreneur, I had a pretty strong network and felt like if I share this software with others, they'll use it. I was fairly agnostic on meeting software. Like prior to starting this decentralized software, if you sent me a Zoom link, I'd be on Zoom. If Anna would have sent for tonight a web go-to meeting, go-to webinar, I'd be on that. If she'd have sent me a join.me, I'd be on that. If it was Microsoft Teams, I'd have clicked on that, we'd be on Teams. If it was Google Meet, we'd be on Google Meet. But as I started to get involved with the decentralized blockchain and utilizing video conferencing where I own my own data, my users and any users that hop on own their own data, it's been very easy to get people to transition. They're not really that loyal to any of these providers. And so if you say, hey, all those other providers steal your data, all those other providers don't give you anything for using. I have a decentralized provider that you'll be one of the owners as a community member. You'll own that software platform. Basically, if you're a user, if you're a hodler, if you're a node owner, you get votes. It's 3 branches of governance. And so you're an owner by being a user. And instead of stealing your data, you own all your data. And instead of getting nothing for doing the meetings, you get rewarded for doing the meetings. And so I always like to educate people on the fact that you're going to start having decisions that and opportunities to get out of Web 2 and transition to Web 3. Initially, you'll only see a few projects sprinkled in here and there, but over time, it's funny, when the mid-90s hit, I was going into college, and I would call companies like Google internet companies, companies like Yahoo, companies like Facebook. It's like, oh, they're an internet company. Amazon, that's one of those internet companies. We don't say that anymore. Every company is pretty much an internet company. Like if you're not, it's kind of weird. Like, well, what are you then? What do? If you don't have a web presence, you don't have a Facebook page, like you don't take orders online. Even my big accounting firm, which is one of the biggest companies I've started, it's a $10 billion company. It's decent size. We have thousands of employees. We started that July of 2021. And if you want to be one of our clients, we actually don't take hard copies of any of your tax documents or anything like that. You have to upload them in our repositories. So we have secured repositories where you upload all your tax data and all your documents. So even to be our client, you have to be online. Everybody's online. Right now, today, when people ask what I'm spending most of my time and energy on, I always tell people I'm working on blockchain projects. I'm working on Web3 and blockchain companies. I truly believe in the next 12 to 24 months, I'll never have to say that. I think I'll just say I'm working on a few new projects, and everyone will know, of course, they're involved in blockchain. Of course, they're transitioning to Web3, because if they weren't, it would be like blockchain to Netflix. They'd be going out of business. They'd be a dinosaur. And my goal really today and this evening or this morning, I guess, depending on where you're at, if you're in Australia, I know it's Saturday earlier. If you're here in Dallas, or this area, it's evening. My goal here is a couple of things. Number one, I just want to educate people on the fact that there is going to be a transition from Web 2 to Web 3. Whether I'm a part of, whether any of these projects that I'm helping with and I'm a community member in are a part of it, other projects are coming. Some will be great, some will be not so great, but they're coming, and eventually the great ones will rise to the top and people will make that transition. So educating people and understanding that that's coming, and they have the ability to position themselves in the middle of that transition, which can be extremely lucrative, not only for them, but for their families, for potentially generations to come. Just like if you could have positioned yourself in the Web 2 boom as Amazon was coming up and Google was coming up, if you were at the forefront of that, certainly knowing what I know now, I would have definitely shifted a lot of the things I did in the mid 90s and late 90s, I could have just bought a bunch of domain names and probably made $100 million, bought Pepsi.com, bought Walmart.com. I mean, early in the internet, imagine just owning a bunch of domain names that belong to huge corporations that they would then pay you tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands or potentially millions of dollars to buy them from you. I mean, something as silly as that could be, $100 million plus business. And so it's because we have that knowledge of how big that transition is and was. With Web3, an $867 trillion shift is far larger than the shift from Web 1 to Web 2 was. I don't say this is a once in a lifetime transition of wealth. This is a one-time transition. Like, I don't believe that not only it's never happened in the past, an $867 trillion shift. I don't know if it'll happen in the future. Maybe cross-planetary if Elon gets us to Mars and over time the Mars economy, we start shifting funds into that economy. Maybe you get 900 trillion or 1 quadrillion or whatever. But I think for the near future and for several generations, this is going to be the biggest shift in wealth that we ever see. And what we look for as a community are two things. One is node owners, people to help us run our network and earn native tokens for doing that. And it's fully decentralized. Or number two, help us build the community. That's probably the biggest thing we look for. Helping to advance Web3, helping to advance decentralization, helping to give power back to communities and back to the people and out of the hands of these big corporations that certainly are taking data from us and manipulating that data. And we don't necessarily have any transparency or access to that. Web3 is going to change all of that. And I do believe it's going to happen quickly. So that's really the nuts and bolts. Certainly happy to open it up to Anna if you have any questions, or if anyone else has fired any questions in the chat. I'm happy to stick around and answer any of those.
You actually answered every single question that came my way at some point as you kept speaking. All of the questions kept getting answered. Everyone's like, oh, well, there you go. There you go. There. That was incredibly informative. I'm getting comments like, what a great presentation. Thoroughly enjoyed this. Thank you. The one question, though, I did get that you haven't answered yet is, how do we get a hold of you? How can we contact you?
So I'll leave an email. I guess I can put that in the chat for you, and you can share it with them.
100%.
And it's on the stream as well. So it's just my name, Tony, Tony, at next level, all one word, next level, BTC.com. That's like in Bitcoin. And so you can send me an email and just say, hey, I saw your presentation in the other verse, and I want to learn more about Web3. If you just kind of set that out there, I can get you a link where you can basically enter our ecosystem for free. There's an academy there that if you're brand new to this ecosystem, brand new to blockchain, brand new to crypto, like there's literally number 101 classes. What is Bitcoin? What is Ethereum? What is blockchain? And you can actually earn crypto for passing those trainings. If you go through them, take a little quiz, you can get paid for learning, which is kind of cool. Now, if you're a little more advanced, I would tell you, go through the easy ones quick so you get paid. If you're a node owner, you get paid. And we have nodes as cheap as like $500 right now that'll get you paid. Then you've got advanced things like, NFT masterclass. What's a stable coin? What's staking? The Internet of Things, So there's advanced courses as well. But go through the academy. There's areas on all of our projects. You can watch little 5-minute teaser videos on our rideshare project, on our agricultural project, on our health and wellness blockchain. So we'll certainly, if you email me, I'll get you a link to be able to set yourself up for free and then learn more. And then if you wanted to do more, certainly you can always reach out to me and we can set up a decentralized meeting where we can go through any questions you have.
So somebody's asking, what is the web address for the training site?
So it'll be, you have to get a link to get into it. The ecosystem. The main website I use is r-link.com for our software. So it's r-link.com. That's our decentralized video software. That's kind of the entryway for a lot of people. We're still in beta. It'll give you a lot of information. But when I send you a link, it's like a web.connect.unite. It's a big link, but it's just a login page to sign up for free. And then you have a dashboard. I guess before we wrap up, let me share screen real quick. The dashboard looks like this. And so the link I send you, when you sign up, it'll bring you into this dashboard. If you said, well, I want to learn about the projects, the share with friends actually brings up the different videos. You can learn about the overall ecosystem, which we call it Connect. You can learn about our link, the video platform, the video conferencing platform, the ride share. There's a little 3-minute, 52-second video on that. If you want to learn about the banking blockchain, you can check out little videos about that. What custodial wallets versus non-custodial. All of our wallets in our ecosystem are considered non-custodial wallets, meaning if we went out of business tomorrow, any of the crypto you have on those wallets is yours. You'd have a 12-seed phrase. You could get a Trezor or a Ledger, any cold wallet, recover your crypto. It would be yours. We've got the health and wellness blockchain, Element, the decentralized mining blockchain, the charitable blockchain, our agricultural blockchain. This is our exchange trading blockchain. And so you've got all access to the academy, what I was kind of speaking about earlier, the different levels of training that you can go through, the language of blockchain, what is Bitcoin. If you want to buy nodes, the shop button brings up the different nodes. There's NFTs that are available. If I want to use our meeting software, I can buy an NFT. There's a $400 NFT that gives me a year's worth of service, and it doubles my proof of action points. And I can get $1,000 NFT, which will double my action points, and it'll give me meeting software, 5 rooms, up to 3,000 people per meeting. So a pretty large meeting. How to set up my nodes after I buy them. If I would like to, go through my wallets. I don't even look at Connect Pay. This is where some of my money comes in on this account. I haven't opened this yet today, but so I can request a withdrawal right now. Looks like I've got $4,700 in USDT. I'll just say max, and I'll say preview the transaction. I'll confirm it right here, and then I'll submit a request. And I can go back to Connect Pay, or I can go check my wallet. It'll take a day or so probably for that to go through. But if I go into my wallet, it'll show me like, hey, this is what you got in there. This is what's coming. I keep some USDT in here. Again, these are non-custodial. I have WIN tokens in here. Ethereum I keep in here. I've got, a decent amount of USD that I keep in here and Tether. But these are non-custodial. So again, if something happened to us or the community or whatever, as long as I got my 12 seed phrase, I can go get all of this crypto, no problem. If I want to see my nodes in action, I usually go to the Blockbot report, and it'll show me every node that I purchased on this account. And it'll show me, how are they operating? Like the grow nodes, this one's on for 23 hours. This one's been on for 2 hours. This one's been on for 7, 24, 23. As long as they get on for 6 hours or more in the day, I share equally in that distribution. So we call it proof of participation versus proof of work. Blockchain's proof of work, meaning your node has to do the first confirmation for the transaction to get the transaction reward, or the block reward if it's the last transaction on the block. So yours actually has to do the work. With our blockchain, it's proof of participation. We don't necessarily need your node to do the work. We just need to know we have access to that much computer power. How much firepower do we have access to? So if your node is on for 6 hours or more a day, you share evenly with the distribution from all the node owners that day. And so that's where we're a little different than the Bitcoin blockchain. Instead of proof of work, we do the proof of participation. Just keep your node turned on and you're good. If it goes off, then I host mine all in the cloud through a company called Block Fabric. And so any nodes that are offline a little bit, I just send them an email. I usually check a couple times a day because it can be pretty lucrative. It can be a lot of tokens that come in one day. I get 500 some thousand grow nodes a day. Our last project, when we started aggressively trading, it hit 87 cents per coin. And so, if I'm getting 500,000 coins a day in one project and it hits 87 cents, I don't want to miss out on a day's worth of distribution. That's a decent amount of money. So when you get that free link, that I'll get over to you guys, I'd say within the next 24 hours. I've got another meeting after I get off of Otherverse here, but I'll get you guys a link, and then you get your dashboard, play around, anything you want to learn, anything you want to do. I'm certainly here to answer questions. Actually, one of our AI projects, I'm working on cloning myself. It's almost done. So,
I need that.
I'll get everybody, you'll be able to ask the questions all at the same time. midnight my time, 3 a.m. It won't matter. The AI doesn't ever sleep, so we'll make sure we get that up and running for you. I'll get an AI built for you too, and it sounds like you need
I'll need one of those for sure, so I can post more of these things. Thank you so much, Tony. That was absolutely phenomenal. I know that our audience absolutely loved it. We've learned a lot, and I will definitely be in touch with you for that link myself. Thank you.
Sounds good, everybody. Well, thanks for sharing your time with me, each and every one of you. Happy to be here on Otherverse, and excited to obviously do as many of these as I possibly can. Hopefully, I'll be dancing later in one of the rooms if we get a good DJ going.
Oh, we got a great DJ. They're about to start. They're about to kick it off at the rooftop just now, actually. Speaking of, I just saw the announcement go out in Classic. And hopefully next time we'll have you back and we'll be on your software doing this talk again. So looking forward to that.
Awesome. Awesome. And thanks, everybody.
Of course. That concludes all of our speaking sessions for the 8th annual VirtualCon. So thank you, Tony, very much for closing that out for us. But don't worry, we still have tomorrow. So 10 a.m. bright and early is the TGE, the token generation event that we've all been waiting for the UTHX token. So don't forget to be here bright and early, 10 a.m. tomorrow. As well, we have a complete day of events. The booths, go check them out. Everybody that you've been talking to, all the information, go and check it out in Otherverse Classic. Go check out Otherverse Xeon. The patch is done. You should be able to get in by tomorrow, if not tonight. Everyone will have had a chance to download, so go check it out. And then, of course, we have the awards ceremony concluding everything tomorrow night at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Thank you, everybody, for being here for the Web3 panel. And it's been a great 2 days. Once again, thank you very much. And we'll see you tomorrow morning, bright and early, for the TGE event.